welcome back to WCS Valencia. We have one series down and the beach is hot. The cars are fast, not very fast that one, and the paella is good here for the tournament as we get things rolling. It is hot and wild here in Valencia, and overall we have more awesome StarCraft games to come. I am joined at the desk once again by new people this time, as we have Pig and Rotterdam to entertain us and join us. Pig, so far so good.
Oh, it's been a good start to the day. A nice, messy match to start things out. I love seeing games like that. You know, both players making a few mistakes here and there, but that creates the most action-packed games. Absolutely love the start we've had.
Yeah, it definitely does, and there's been a lot of other games having gone on Rotterdam. I believe that you've already jumped into one already.
Yes, I'm currently into Strange against Cloudy, which nothing has happened yet. It's the first game. It's a winners match, though, but there is one big story that we haven't really highlighted yet, and that is Showtime. Showtime is still considered to be the best Protoss player in Europe, but he's currently outside of the top 8. He had a very disappointing Jan Chopping, an all-right Austin, but it's time that Showtime makes another deep run if we want to see him at the global finals at the end of the year, which is where we all expected him to be because he's freaking Showtime, and he has been the best Protoss in Europe for like 2 years straight. Well, in the second group stage, Showtime just lost his first match 2-1 against the Russian Protoss Strange, which means that he's now in the lower bracket match against Denver, the French Zerg.
Right.
That is going to be really tough for Showtime to get out, because even if he wins against Denver, which is not a given, he has to play against either Cloudy from China or Strange. We'll see what happens in this series, and that is like a PvP series that has massive implications for the rest of the year, I'd say, for Showtime. So I'm definitely a little bit invested in this group, and I'll keep you guys posted. But to go back to your previous question, yeah, first group stage, or first game that we casted was really fun as well. Like Pig said, we love it dirty, don't we? Oh, yeah.
So what you're saying about Showtime as well is that Todd's prediction in the pre-show of a top 4 for Showtime, not looking very good so far.
No, I mean, we often see it. Like sometimes, you know, even Neeb lost the series early on, goes on to win the entire tournament. So I don't want to make this sound like red alert, Showtime is out. He's not out yet, but he needs to win 2 series in a row against first Denver and then either Strange or Cloudy. And those are 2 names that maybe if you don't watch StarCraft 24/7, you'll be like, Showtime is going to beat the hell out of them. Well, no, he just lost against Strange, and Cloudy is a really good Protoss from Korea. I think like 6.3, 6.4k MMR on Korea. So those are not easy victories at all. I'll keep a close eye on it. I mean, that's a big story because Showtime needs to perform this event. Yeah,
he's been at a lot of tournaments. And speaking of somebody else who has been at a lot of tournaments over the past 5 years and celebrating her 5-year anniversary is Smix. Smix, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I actually hadn't realized that this was my 5th-year anniversary because my first event hosting was Valencia. So this event is always really special. So I'm really, really happy about that. I actually didn't realize.
We're happy to have had you for 5 years.
I'm happy to be here too,
So
James.
where's the cake, James?
Oh, sorry, I forgot about that.
Tomorrow.
Next time. But of course, enough about me, guys. It's time to talk about our next match. So without further ado, it is between 2 fantastic French players. It's between Dayshi and Stephano, and these 2, interestingly enough, have played recently in a show match where Stephano came out on top 11-4. Now, Dayshi tweeted today that he does want revenge, and here is his opportunity for our next match. It's Dayshi and Stephano.
Two formidable Frenchmen making their way onto the stage here to compete against one another for WCS Valencia. And as Mick suggested and mentioned, there has been a lot of games between these 2 as of late, Pig.
Oh yeah, playing a sneaky bunch of matches, a couple of, 15 games just last week. And Stephano coming out well on top there. And I really like it between these 2 because you've got 2 Frenchmen, but you've got the younger player in Dayshi, but he's actually been around forever now. But in the early days, he came up, he was looking up to Stephano. Stephano was kind of like the guy he emulated and wanted to be. Used to always talk about how Stephano practiced when he was first getting good, and that was what he tried to copy. And then later on in his career, we saw him also copy Stephano in partying a little bit before the event the night before, coming in and still having some very nice results despite not really sleeping at home story cups and that sort of stuff. So both players have shown a lot of personality, and I think they've got a lot of fans out there.
I think this is going to be a fun series. Stephano is that player that even last year at Valencia, he was around. People are like, oh, it's so cool, Stephano's here, but he's not really playing that much. We can't really say that anymore. I genuinely believe that Stephano right now is practicing more than he was in his glory days of StarCraft 2. You watch his stream, he puts in the hours. I mean, I play a lot myself as well. 1 a.m., I play Stephano. 4 a.m., I still play Stephano. I wake up the next morning at 10 a.m. My first game, Stephano again. And he's like, you're putting in the effort, Kevin. I was like, so are you, Elias. And you can really notice it as well. He's getting faster again. His mechanics are on point. Creep spread is something that I think Stephano was always all right at. I think he's taking it to the next level. He's excellent at it right now. Maybe almost as good as Scarlet. If you give him time, the entire map is going to be covered in creep spread. Look forward to this series. But on the other hand, I want to stay real as well. And I don't want to make this series bigger than it is, because this group is completed by Elroy and Emperor. And I have the feeling that both Stephano and Dayshi are superior players to those other two. Now, obviously, advancing first is good for seeding, but I'm kind of expecting these two to make it out of the group stage, regardless of who wins here.
I think that's fair. And we need to teach the French about how a best of works, because it was a best of 11, and then they went to 15 maps. I think they just don't really care at that point. They're just playing and doing what they want. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure we call that a best of 21 normally, but
maybe.
You know, however you choose to do it. Of course, another little interesting fact about this matchup, Dayshi has actually only beaten Stephano once in a competitive match, and it was against Stephano right here in Valencia 4 years ago. So can he do it again? Maybe this is the city where he can actually overcome Stephano. Since then, you know, he hasn't won a single tournament match against him, so it's definitely going to be a big, hard road here. And just historically, matchup-wise, Dayshi, we saw their 36% win rate in his Terran vs. Zerg. Stephano, 75%. Those statistics are pretty big.
Well, of course, we will be checking in with some other games as we do get things going in just a few moments' time. We have Cloudy versus Strange here, and then Pig, what do you have currently?
So at the moment, I've got Arctur versus Harstem. So that is a Terran versus Protoss match, if you aren't too familiar with Arctur. Just starting up here, not too much has happened so far, and both players kind of playing quite passively, so nothing too crazy going on.
Great overlay there, Pig. It really is an anniversary weekend, isn't it?
All right, well, thank you very much, gents. I'll check in with you in just a few moments' time. For now, we're going to head over to the commentary team with a new face to our premier stage, as we go over to Fear Dragon and Todd.
Two of France's finest are set to battle, and I'm going to be joined by Fear Dragon, as Odez just mentioned. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic, Todd. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. About to watch my fellow Frenchmen kill each other off, and it saddens me, but I find comfort in knowing that they both might be able to advance anyway, and hopefully they will. The French coming back strong in StarCraft 2 these days.
Absolutely.
Some might say.
I mean, some might say that even some French commentators doing quite well in their own right.
Sometimes.
In some tournaments.
It happens.
But this is going to be a Zerg versus Terran as we go ahead and hop into it and introduce the players. We're going to be starting down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. Top the blue Zerg player. Give it up for Meltdown Esports' Stephano.
The only player to ever play a challenger match from Ibiza in the flesh. His opponent in the reds, playing as Terran. We have Arma Team's Dayshi. Definitely has been a little bit more low profile as of late, but he seems to have found some new motivation and is now coming back to try and put on some results. And Dayshi is definitely someone you should never count out. Like, I feel like looking at the stats here in this matchup, and you know, Stephano being 7-1 in encounters against Dayshi, and Dayshi flying under the radar as of late, it might be very easy to think that Dayshi is not going to have much of a chance there. This is the guy that I saw party hard at the Home Story Cup and then the next day beat Bomber in the quarterfinals.
Absolutely. And one of the big things that you also have to keep in mind is that when you do play a really long best of whatever series, I mean, best of 21 have you, if you want to call it that, you do also learn a lot about your opponent and how they play, their tendencies. And when you have a bit of time after that, he's had 2 weeks to kind of reflect on that series and think, okay, here are all the things that I did wrong. I'm not going to let him get the best of me again.
I think Dayshi also, like, historically, it was always his TVZ and his TVP that he was really good in. You know, he's known for using the have-to key quite a bit, not even necessarily grouping up his units, and always rallying units forward and being aggressive with it. And he's had quite a bit of success. I think he's up to around $40,000 and above in earnings,
Not
but he's
bad.
facing a guy who's at, what was it, like 260? Respect. He's earned my respect here, this Stephano for sure.
Stephano has done well for himself. We'll leave it at that. There's going to be a Reaper opening coming out from Dayshi. Going to be following this up with a Factory and all that good Terran stuff that we generally tend to see. Now, I'm really interested to see how Stephano is going to end up playing this out, because there are the two kind of distinct styles that some Zergs will go for. You see a lot of the Roach openings. You also see the Ling Bling Muta openings as well.
Hey, we saw Stephano actually do some funky stuff here and there at times. I think he was in Nation Wars where he was playing with like a lot of roaches, for example. We see actually, as of late in Zerg vs Terran, we see Hydralisks being used, which kind of baffles me. You know, I'm the Protoss player, so I'm like, wait, what? Like, against Terran as well?
Yeah.
But apparently,
pretty good, man.
They are kind of finding their place in the matchup, and Stephano is definitely one of those guys. He was one of those first Zergs really trying to innovate and
He's never been held down by the meta, I think I would say.
He's the one holding the meta, actually. He's the one unleashing the full potential of the meta and sometimes even creating it. And once upon a time, this was the guy that everybody was turning to try and find ways to copy and innovate.
Absolutely.
Back in Wings of Liberty in particular, he was like the one guy that, you know, maxed out at 12 minutes against Protoss. People were like, what? You can do that?
Even in Heart of the Swarm, with the whole era of Swarm hosts, as many people would like to forget sometimes, Stephano definitely leading the charge in a lot of ways for that, but it looks like the game is back and ready. We're going to be hopping back into it as the Reaper is going to be making its way into Stephano's natural expansion.
Yeah, we'll see how much aggression Dayshi is going to try to put on Stephano. Usually he's one of those guys that, much like many Terrans, likes to be pretty aggressive, but Stephano is very good defensively, and actually the Reaper was just killed.
Oh my god.
Dayshi messed up.
Yeah, I don't even know if he got that into the main base and got much real scouting information or anything, but that's
he didn't see anything.
That's going to be really frustrating.
Yeah, he died right there at the ramp. Like, that was unusual here. Stephano was fully ready. Just in the moment I was coincidentally mentioning the perfect defense of Stephano. Like, Stephano is almost like a magician when it comes down to setting up those fights. No matter what the matchup, he's one of the best Zerg out there at engagements, best players out there at taking good engagements. He will come with a full 360 no-scope surrounds and crush the opponent's army at times, where it looks like if it was any other player, they struggle a lot more against whatever army is coming their way.
Well, you know what, Todd? The meta may change, units may change, but a surround is always good. But, okay, the first two Hellions are out. We have Cloak on the way for Dayshi. Going to be going for some of that Cloak Banshee harassment follow-up. These two Hellions just going to be waiting for the third and fourth ones to join forces so you can push out a little bit further on the map, try and clean up some creep. But Stephano already connecting his third to his natural expansion, has those queens out like you said before, and it's really going to be just about how much harassment Dayshi can do safely without losing these Hellions.
Yeah. And Stephano thrives in the late game, by the way. Like, he loves those thirdly games where you take like 5-6 bases. Like, if you guys have watched his stream, you probably know that's better than anyone. But he was one of the first guys to really, like you mentioned, the Swarm host, to really be like, all right, let's split them up. Let's see what you can do. Let's play a longer game, get all the upgrades that are needed against one another, and then see who comes out on top. That's his comfort zone. And at the same time, he's got that great defense, as I talked about. That makes him a very complete player. Dayshi, again, losing a couple units here. That Hellion is going to go down.
Yeah, second Hellion also falls. I mean, we were just talking about how you really want to keep those Hellions alive. You want to build up their numbers. Now, the Banshee's going to be able to come into the main base. Queen immediately dealing with that. The Spore Cars are already there. May be able to find one or two drones, but look at this. Really good control from Stephano. I don't think that Banshee has gotten almost any significant damage done.
Yeah, it's not going to do much here. Sometimes you see a Terran vs Zerg where that first Cloak Banshee gets like, 10 drones. It's not going to be one of those there. Stephano's defense here once again on point, pulls away the drones. For now, there's not much he can do here against that one Banshee other than make sure it doesn't fly too close to his middle line and kills a lot of drones.
Yeah, now no lair is finished up just yet for Stephano, so there's not going to be any easy way to get any overseers or anything. Oh, but the Hellions trying to get the full surround. Stephano with some really good control. He's going to be able to kill off two of these Hellions. The rest of the Hellions still finding some good positions, cleaning up the majority of the Lings, and now the drones are going to be under attack. Two of them already going down. Pretty decent splits from Stephano. Seems like he will be able to push this back for now.
Yeah, not bad from Dayshi. He kind of salvaged that a little bit. Stephano is now having to make a lot of landings just because he didn't go for roaches up until this point, which I'm sure he will eventually because he's getting +1 missile. Now you have to wonder, like, Stephano, Usually, from this situation, you go into Infestors and then into Hive Tech. But like I said, we've seen games of him where he just goes crazy on the Roach production and probably makes Speak very happy, and then just goes on the aggression. And I feel like in most of those games that I've seen of him doing that against very strong players, it hasn't worked out for the most part because they just defended and then, you know, there was no tech behind it or anything significant to follow up.
Yeah, this Banshee is starting to get some actually pretty significant damage done. The Spore Crawler re-burrowing inside the main base, but the Banshee still has a lot of energy left, and the Lair is still not finished this late into the game. So the Banshee should be able to get away out of there alive. Got to be paying attention to it, though. Oh, no, Dayshi may end up losing it, and he does. And there goes, it looks like his last bit of map presence until these two medevacs come out, though.
Yeah, one last shot on that Queen, though. He did get that. That was nice, at least for Dayshi, but there's still so much more where that came from. The crease spread is actually going out of control here in the top side of the map. And that's going to give a lot of vision here for Stephano to see this coming. He's going to force scans out of Dayshi. And I just don't see this doing much at all here. +2 missiles starting. Stephano has yet to make a single Roach. So does he go into Hydralisks from there?
Well, he's got some of the Banelings. He does get a decent connection, cleans up most of the Marines from one of those medevacs. The other medevac carrying all the Marines makes it out of there. The skin of his teeth.
Yeah, there we go. Hydra then starting. No Roach run, periods. It's so crazy to me to start like +2 missile before you even have made a Roach run or Hydra is dead. But I guess Stephano is just so confident in his defense. And guess what? He was there. Yeah. He didn't take that much damage. Like, he lost a couple of drones here and there, but he still finds himself on the 73 walker count against 61 right now.
Nice counterattack over here for Stephano. Comes in with the links from both sides. Is going to be able to try and pick away those SCVs, but only really delaying a bit of mine time. Nice pull from Dayshi, but also Stims back with his drop. I wonder if that was just on the same hotkey group or what, but maybe missed an opportunity to get some damage done at the same time.
Oh, remember, he uses F2, right?
Don't we all? Well, another drop is going to come in from the south side, seeing if he can split up Stephano's attention. Looks like the Marines are starting to get pushed back and forced to lift up.
Yeah, actually, I'm looking at Dayshi's groups right now. He has almost nothing grouped up. He groups that one Medivac here that he's dropping with, but there is nothing else grouped up. So he uses F2 every single time with the army. And usually his style is to try and gain momentum somewhere, and then rally all of his barracks across the map and then just use F2 to select everything and then micro it from there. Yeah, which sounds very chaotic, but it's actually insanely strong with this.
Yeah, very difficult once that momentum starts building up to deal with, but it seems like so far Dayshi really hasn't been able to get into that kind of zone. He's been moving out with a lot of these medevac drops, trying to put on the multi-prong harassment, but he's never been able to really keep those medevacs alive and ready to go in from multiple angles at the same time just yet. This medevac group getting caught in the middle of the map. Some Banelings getting some good connections. The Hydra is going to force the lift up and retreat out. These Marines from the first drop are going to be able to pick up and leave out of there, head over to the main base, but Stephano is prepared. It's exactly like you were saying, Todd. His defense is just immaculate.
Yeah, Dayshi is doing a good job of keeping up supply-wise here, but Stephano's 2-2 upgrade is going to hit so early that from this point onwards, these Hydralisks are going to be super scary. The Banelings are going to be there, and he goes straight into Hive from that position. And I'm just not seeing Dayshi doing enough damage there. And the fact that there is Hydralisks and so much creep as well, they are so fast, they can just catch Medivacs and kill them. That's the big difference with playing a style with, you know, sometimes with Ravager and Infestors. Like in this case, the Hydralisks, they will mess these Medivacs up.
Absolutely. We see Dayshi still struggling to get some damage on the Hydras on creep. Going to be able to move pretty quickly underneath those medevacs, but the boosts do allow them to escape. We got a couple of Siege Shanks back at home. A fourth expansion now finished up for Dayshi, but exactly like you were saying, you don't really want to take Stephano to the super late game of TVZ if you can avoid it. And
of any matchup, really.
Yeah, of any matchup, really. But for now, Dayshi, he's getting closer and closer to that end game, and it's like you said, he hasn't really done the damage I feel like he needs to.
He's starting to have a very scary army. He's somewhat ahead here in the army supply. Not that many tanks, but still 5 is a very decent number to have because there isn't that many... actually, big overextension here by Dayshi. What is going on there? I don't know why he was that far away. Yeah, I didn't think there was that many Banelings. You know, it's like only 10. After that small skirmish at the bottom where Stephano killed quite a bit. Let's see, Banelings are going to roll on in.
Oh, engaging on creep right now. Looks like the Hydra's also going to be getting involved in the fight. The medevacs at the front also going to be taken out. The Siege Shanks whittling away at the Hydra army, but it is just way too much. Stephano closes in, takes out the last remaining Siege Shank, and Dayshi Look at the supply, Todd.
Where do you think I was looking? Dayshi, after losing a huge chunk of his army at the bottom, you would think he would have waited to remake that before then going across the map and then trying to go for the fight. But no, he overextended here where that other part of his army, maybe a little bit on tilt, and Stephano capitalized. He knew that there was going to be a lot of army missing here for Dayshi, that he wasn't going to be maxed out, whereas he's maxed out himself and building a bank, heading straight into the tier 3 units eventually, maybe with the Ultras, and getting more upgrades.
He has macroed up another segment of his army. He's reclaiming a bit of that supply loss he had earlier on and can push Stephano back from now, but it's like you were saying, the Hive Tech is finished up. Ultralisks on the way. Chitinous plating almost about halfway finished, and Pause is coming out because Dayshi needs to buy himself time.
Yeah, that was... I thought it was going to be the Avilo pose there where he leaves right after, but it doesn't work anymore because that was passed. And then you still get the victory screen.
Yeah, I feel like the referee is probably would still rule against you in that situation. I don't think it's like, well, technically, the game is still tied.
Yeah, this is not looking too good at all here for Dayshi. Like the 4th was super delayed. Like obviously he could still fly his main orbital to a new base, but he's stuck on a lot of Marines.
And one Liberator, I think he just doesn't have an answer to the Ultras.
It's 45 Marines to 15 Marauders against now what's going to be quite a few Ultras, 30 Hydralisks behind it, and just a crazy production coming out of Stephano, who not only, he's already maxed out, he's again going to start building up a bank, and he's going into all of the upgrades that he needs to get. Chitinous plating, Adrenal Glands, +2 melee, and we're back in the game.
Okay. Stephano going to be moving around with his army, getting ready, and of course, good to mention that creep spray, because that creep spray really helped out in that first major engagement. We saw the Hydras able to close the distance on the sea chinks and everything.
Can we look at the vision of Stephano here for a second? He sees like more than half the map. He's got a bunch of overlords in the north and south.
It is sick. This is the reason why Dayshi's repeated drop attempts have just really not accomplished anything. That one Liberator, though, it's going to be annoying to clean up. Eventually, Stephano will be able to try and clean that up at some point. But Dayshi, I mean, he's at least getting a bit of time, but now the Ultras are out. Chitinous plating is finished up. He's just maybe waiting for Adrenal Glands before he moves in, but he's getting into position at that 4th expansion. And the problem is Dayshi has such little vision out of the map, he doesn't even know if his 3rd expansion or his 4th expansion is going to get attacked.
Yeah, he's got a sensor tower here, though, so he must have a little bit of an idea. He's going to have to repair that. He reacts a little bit late. That's weird, because the sensor tower was up, so he was seeing all those exclamation marks. Maybe he wasn't paying attention as much as he should have.
Well, the exclamation mark is underneath, or on top of his head now, as the Ultras cleave through the 4th expansion. And Dayshi is actually starting to chase this back a bit. It looks like Stephano doesn't really want to take the engagement anymore. He's lost all of the links. He's going to start losing some of these Ultras, but Dayshi is stemming his entire army to get these traits. 3-3 is very close to finishing for Dayshi. Maybe he can go for a counterattack?
For once, I want you to look at something else than the supply. Look at the bank here of Stephano. He's got so much gas and minerals. He could get so many links and Ultras here at the back of this. And the creep spread is not stopping anytime soon here. This is almost Scarlet-esque level of crazy.
This is going to be so difficult. If Dayshi wants to be, okay, we'll hold that thought. He's going to be able to take out 2 of these Ultras, or 1 of the Ultras very quickly. There goes down the 2nd one. And maybe, you know, there's a glimmer of hope. Dayshi, if he can take a good engagement and just push across the map before Stephano's able to get those units out from the Remax, he could do something.
He's been oversteaming quite a bit here, actually. For somebody who has very little medivacs, Dayshi needs to be careful with that. He's 1 medivac there and the one that he sent here at the north. And he still needs to clean up so much of that creep. Like, Stephano sees those units every single time they go somewhere. And these guys are on follow here on that medivac, I think. They need to go back.
Yeah, I mean, Stephano has full vision of those units dancing around on creep. He's going to send a couple of links to deal with them. It looks like Dayshi is able to quickly react. Medivac also going to be healing. Got the reinforcements inside the air, but just deciding, no, you know what? We got to do something with you guys. Oh. 3-3 on the way for Stephano. He is going to be playing a bit of catch-up. Dayshi's upgrade advantage is not going to be for long, and once again, things are looking grim for him.
Yeah, Fusion Core is going to start here from Dayshi. I'm pretty sure he wants to get advanced ballistics for his Liberators. Ghost Academy as well. Probably for some Ghosts, maybe some nukes and some snipes, but I just don't think Stephano will give him the time here, because Stephano, once again, He's maxed out. This time he's got Vipers, and he still has a huge bank here to remax off the back of this.
Oh, yeah. Viper pulls on the Liberators, taking them out of the engagement. We end up seeing the Banelings also come crashing on in. A couple of Blinding Clouds going down to make it a bit harder to engage against the Ultras. But actually, Stephano, he's doing a lot of damage. He's going to be able to take out that third expansion. But the army for Dayshi isn't doing too bad, honestly, Todd.
Well, I think he's running out of steam here, quite literally. Just a little bit of bio left over with one single Medivac. And he's gonna move down the round, lose patience. GG gets called, and Stephano wins game number 1.
That is going to be a painful loss for Dayshi to swallow after, again, we mentioned the show match that they played on the O Gaming stream. And of course, after losing 11-4, and now you lose the first game in a series, it's so difficult to have the mental fortitude to not have your mind dart back to that series and think it's just going to be a repeat.
Yeah, I mean, Stephano, like I said, the defense was there. He knows eventually when to attack. It's not like he's overly defensive, and that's, you know, the reason he's so good at it. No, he knows how to take engagements. At times, I feel like maybe one of his weaknesses is that maybe he's a little bit too passive. So some players can actually exploit that, but so far that was really good. And let's go and hear from the desk and what they have to say here about that first game.
Long drawn-out game there for number 1 between Stephano and Dayshi. We do have other series going on as that has continued, though. Pig, you are currently in Octa versus Harston, which is 1-0 in favor of Harston, I believe.
It is, and he's got a very big lead in the second game as well. He shut down a tank push in game number 1 with Adept Phoenix, a very clean defense, very straightforward game. Here in game number 2, he's spotted an early proxy Widowmine drop. He basically cut it off at the knee, just did 0 damage, and now he's counterattacking. He's got a great economy behind it. Harston is running away with this, and it's going to be a very decisive 2-0.
Seems like it's easy for Harston. Now we do have Rotterdam, who is in Strange versus Cloudy. Everything's kicking off.
Let's go right now. Very important moment. This is game 3. Game number 1 was a beautiful game by our Russian Proto Strange. Really played an excellent PvP. That's not the game that I'm looking at. This is the game indeed. As Cloudy once again is being hyper-aggressive. He won game 2 in an all-in. Game 3, this is the Blink Stalker all-in. This is an all-deciding moment. Immortal is halfway done. He could... No, he doesn't want to overcharge because that pylon has not enough HP. That's a lot of Stalkers, James. Let's just stick with this game for 30 seconds to see whether or not Strange can hold. Because if Strange holds here, he's going to win this series. But that is a lot of Blink Stalkers. But here's Big Daddy.
He's got an Immortal
The Immortal comes in, and that Immortal will be the one thing which might be able to hold
That's a lot of Stalkers, though.
Oh, the barrier's been activated, and the Mothership core went down in that as well, so there's going to be no more energy recharge.
Maybe go on the high ground right now with your Immortal, because if you lose this Immortal, you lose the game. Can Cloudy secure a ticket to group stage number 3?
Wow. Great focus fire.
And that looks like Cloudy's going to be able to take that fight decisively. Thank you very much, Rotterdam, as I've been getting notification that game number 2 is ready between Stephano and Dayshi. So let's head over to our commentary team once again to figure out where that series is going to go.
Thank you very much, James. We're getting ready to hop into game number 2 between these two players. And it's gonna, again, be a bit of a difficult one, I think, for Dayshi. He's got to come up with some answers to Stephano's immaculate defense. He's got to find a way. And Todd, I know that you were mentioning that maybe that answer is to just play a little bit more passively, to try and macro up a little bit.
Yeah, I think at first, and then just go for timing attacks, but very, very strong ones. Don't try to throw small aggressions, which might sound weird because it's the way TVZ should be played. I mean, especially if you look at Dayshi's game, like, it looked a little bit sloppy here and there. He lost his first Reaper, saw absolutely nothing with it, and then he lost the next 2 Hellions. So, I don't know, like, I feel like he might need to slow down a little bit at first and then hit stronger timings later on with more units, which then are going to be way harder for Stephano to defend.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see if Dayshi can pull something like that off, since I think, again, we kind of mentioned this before, he's a bit more well-known for those parade push style attacks. He's more well-known for just being a bit more aggressive rather than being the more passive person early on in the game. And the Hellion harassment did a little bit of damage, managed to get something done. Banshee harassment as well, but not really able to close it out. Okay.
Yeah, Stephano here. He looked really strong in that game, I think, so far. you know, Roddy mentioned how much he practices, and I think that's kind of showing. He's, I wouldn't say he's in his prime, but he's definitely showing some good promise as of late, and he's trying. It's kind of weird, you know, to see a player retire and then like end up practicing more later on.
It's so funny. It's the weirdest thing because there was that weird period of time, right, where we heard, oh, Stephano's retiring, is going to be focusing on school and all these other things, and then he sort of just still ends up streaming a lot. He shows up at tournaments, still does insanely well because, let's be honest, it's Stephano. Of course, he's just going to continue to do fantastic in a lot of these events. And it's awesome to see that he is still remaining competitive.
He's one of the most iconic players, I would say, of StarCraft 2 for sure.
Even after the haircut.
Actually lost a bit of his mojo for sure here on that one.
Yeah.
But he knows how to celebrate when he wins the tournament. I think he was definitely one of the best, you know, whether he was dancing or popping the champagne just right. He might be the only player actually to ever defeat the champagne bottle here.
Yeah, I just remember the long history that Champagne had. It was like a King of the Hill versus Teja for a long time. Champagne bottle just kept winning. But
everybody else got obliterated by the champagne bottle.
The champagne bottle's pretty strong. But, okay. Stephano, he's looking a little bit tired right now. You always have to wonder. It's for most other players, I would say, oh, you know, they're looking tired. They said they didn't get that much sleep. Maybe they're feeling nervous. For Stephano, I'm just like, okay, how late were you up last night?
He's tired of playing these noobs and never meeting his equal is what he's tired of, I think.
All right, we're going to be hopping into game number 1. The map is going to be Blood Boil. And here we are, spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. We have the blue Zerg player setting up 1-0. It's Meltdown Esports' Stephano.
His opponent in the reds, playing for Arma team, it is Dayshi. Hopefully not too phased here by that game number 1.
Yeah, still going for a gas first this game. Looks like Dayshi is. We'll see. What do you think about Blood Boil? I know that this is a map where there's definitely some opportunities for Reapers to move in, be very annoying. I'm sure you've experienced the Protoss end of this.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't expect Dayshi to particularly be a fan of that style. Like he's, you know, like you've got Terrence out there, like you Thermal, Kelazor, like you can expect a lot of Reaper play out of them. I feel like for Dayshi, it's more about what I talked about earlier, you know, like getting a lot of army out, setting up on 3 bases, starting to go for attacks, doing just a very few drops here and there to try and bring as much of the Zerg army out of position as you can, and then just piling on with the aggression at the front with the main chunk of your army and then focusing on the splits.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're going to see. No 3-Rack Reaper or any shenanigans coming out from Dayshi. Expansion being thrown down, the more forward expansion, which I'm always really curious when I see players go for that forward expansion as a Zerg or a Terran player, because Terran players usually don't need those extra gases quite as early on. You always think, oh, you know, the in-base natural expansion on Blood Boil, for those who don't know, has 10 mineral patches as opposed to the typical 8. So you have a bit of extra mineral income, but you sacrifice a gas geyser for it.
I mean, he does like Marines, but if he wants to get everything that as he gets it usually, like the double upgrade and stuff, that adds up to a lot of gas. So that might be the reason here behind this.
Yeah, maybe going to allow him to go into another Cloak Banshee opening or something, as you're saying, does cost quite a bit of gas, and there's going to be that pretty quick reactor coming out with the factory following up, but Reaper moves in to Stephano's base, and Stephano's already very prepared for this. All right.
Stephano, like, great micro, actually. You know, he originally was a Warcraft 3 player as well.
Yeah.
A pretty good one, too.
Ooh, does snag a drone, though. Nicely done for Dayshi, and gets out of there alive. Already going better than game number 1.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been hard to get worse. Like, what, would he kill his own Reaper back with SCV?
Hey, I've seen it happen with those grenades. Okay, well, the Reaper's going to try and make its way back in, try and maybe get some scouting information in the main base. Mostly you just want to see whether or not they're still mining gas. Kind of eliminates the potential for some maybe weird all-ins that, especially a player like Stephano, who's not afraid to throw out a bit of aggression later on, could do. But, oh, the Reaper almost getting a second kill. Good control as Stephano.
He's going to get out, I think. That guy's a little devil. Oh, as I said, actually, yeah. He loses it.
Caster Curse.
Yeah, exactly. He could have gone out.
Okay.
Then I said something. Say no more, fam.
Dayshi's going to blame you after this game. What did you say, Todd? Well, the Hellions are going to come in, and these Hellions actually getting so low in health.
Wow.
They barely get one shot off before going down.
Big overextension here by Dayshi. He thought that was his opportunity to kill a lot of drones, but Stephano, with once again some good defense, gets rid of the Reaper eventually, and then the first two Hellions once again have been killed. So he can't really snowball out of control, no pun intended here with the map, but with those Hellions and hit that power spike when you get like 6 to 8 to try and run inside of those drones and fry them. And that's going to make Stephano even more confident to perhaps once again skip the roaches. He's only getting queens and links.
Yeah, and it seems like it may end up working out quite well. Again, he's getting up a Spore Crawler, of course, as a safety precaution for the Banshee. He already has scouted out, of course, the starport, the tech lab. But you don't necessarily know 100% for sure if they're going to continue researching Cloak even after he gets scouted. But Stephano's just going to play it safe, has all of his queens out, and once again has some really fantastic creep spread going very far out, actually, onto the map. Almost could have caught that Banshee. May have seen it with that creep tumor.
Surrounding the WCS logo. Almost like a sign.
He wants to surround that trophy, man. That WCS logo trophy. But, okay. Finding a small little window where you can attack. Looks like the Queen's not able to get too much damage done on the Banshee. It's going to make its way over to the in-base natural expansion where a single Queen, a Spore Crawler, will be able to push it back. So Dayshi not quite finding too much damage, but even just kind of forcing some drones off of mining, forcing the Queens to move around is good.
And this is typical Dayshi behind this. The third commentator starting, he's going to add more Raxes, and I'm pretty sure we're going to see double eBay following this up eventually.
Oh, we have missile attacks coming out for Stephano this game, so could be gearing up for another really big Hydra force, but there's a lot of Hellions right now, Todd, and there aren't that many Lings around.
And the Queens are out of position here, that's the big deal.
Oh, Drone's getting roasted right now.
He's going to go straight into the main. There is not that much either. Oh, actually, if Dayshi had been attacking those links, he would have fried them instantly and then gone on to snipe some drones. Stephano trying to squeeze out as many links as he can to defend this.
Well, he is going to get the full surround and eventually clean that up. But 9 drones going down. He sacrificed quite a few of the Hellions, but now the Banshee looks like it ran out of cloak energy and it managed to kill a couple more over at that third expansion, but seems like for now the aggression may be halted until this Banshee finds a couple more drones.
Not bad by Dayshi, but he lost a lot of units doing this, and I just feel like he could have been so much more here.
Yeah.
If he had managed it a little bit better, just a little bit better.
Oh, scan coming down, trying to clean up some of those creep tumors, even finding some of those Queens without detection. The lair is unbelievably late once again for Stephano. When you go for the style, getting up so many Queens, getting up all these Lings, really do end up delaying the ability to make those overseers and eventually clean up those Banshees. I feel like that's one of the best things that Dayshi can really try and abuse right now.
Yeah, he's still struggling to push that creep back. Stephano purposely stepping near the creep tumors there to try and tank some of the damage of that Banshee and making sure he can keep on creep spreading even before the Overseer are out and Lair is finished there. Great play from him.
Yeah, it's working. The Banshee going after the Queens instead of the creep tumors does find a couple more workers. The Baneling Nest is on the way. The upgrades are going to be finishing up in a matter of seconds for Stephano. Armory is also coming out behind this for Dayshi, trying to time this out with a 2-2, but there goes down one of the Banshees as it runs out of energy. Dayshi is finally getting into his own next form of aggression with the Bioforce.
That was sick by Stephano. I think, did he just anticipate when the Banshee was going to run out of energy? He was like, that's been cloaked for a long time, stood below it, boom, gets rid of it. Very nicely done.
Yeah, very much so, but okay, Medivac's trying to come in, but Stephano is so prepared for this. Has not only the Lings prepared, but also the Queens ready to shoot those Medivacs out of the sky. Couple of Lings trying to see where exactly Dayshi's looking to move, trying to save some of those creep tumors, and it seems like Dayshi's going to be able to pick up in time, escape out of there. Siege tanks being made behind this as well, as opposed to the Widow Mines.
Yeah, it seems like Dayshi wants to try to play it a little bit more old school here, kind of like when Terran used to do that a lot against Ling Muta Bane back in the days. I guess he knows also that there is a very likely chance that Stephano's going to go for Hydralisks. Tank can do well, but it's all about, as opposed to the previous game, having everything together and setting up for a good fight, which against Stephano is like the hardest thing in the world because he's just so good at taking fights. On a map where there is a lot of watchtowers that Stephano can use to spot the army coming and then set up a concave before fighting.
Yeah, I mean, not terrible trades for Dayshi, but he does end up losing most of the Marines and those medevacs. He is sieging up the low ground, the natural expansion. Stephano trying to move around into a good position. He is going to be able to get on top of some of these Marines, but there just aren't that many Lings available. And Stephano is going to be able to clean up the siege tank, but definitely losing quite a few Lings there.
Yeah, Dayshi needs to be careful not to overextend here once again. I really feel like his best shot is just kind of massing, waiting until he has a critical mass of tanks and then going for the attack. But now we're reaching the point in the game where Stephano has so many hydralisks that it could go very bad for Dayshi if he's out of position just for 1 second. He did have a supply lead here for a second. I was looking at it. Yeah, here it is once again. So Dayshi is doing pretty well, I would say, this game. But now is the turning point. Now is the key point in the game where he's supposed to do damage. Not necessarily with a big attack that will win in the game, but he needs to trade.
Oh, God.
And he needs to get cost-effective trades, and Stephano is going to engage here.
Siege tanks unsiege, and one of them gets taken out. Dayshi is just unafraid during all these times where his medevacs get scouted out by the creep and continues to try and drop regardless, but Stephano just able to be in position because of it. It looked like there was a drop in the main base that got cleaned up a little while ago, but here we go. Dayshi also just once again engaging on creep. I really don't like how far he seems to extend onto creep sometimes.
I mean, he's trying to get out now, but he gets chased, and one of those medevacs gets sniped with a lot of units in it. Man, action all over the place. Shout out to Observer Coca. He's catching most of these, but I feel a little bit lost myself looking at the minimap and seeing like blinking red stuff all over the place and alerts.
Yeah, I feel like Dayshi's getting lost in it sometimes as some of these drops not quite being as effective as I think he wants them to be. But Stephano feeling confident after cleaning up so many of those units is going up to his hive tech. He's getting up some of those melee upgrades to eventually transition into, of course, the hive tech for adrenal glands, as well as even potentially getting out those ultralists once again. But Dayshi, he's going to lose his window of opportunity, as we saw in that last game. Once the Ultras come out, the game really becomes a very, very different game for the Terran player.
Yeah, Ultras, if you think about it, they're the perfect unit to add to a Hydralisk heavy composition, because they just do the tanking at the front, and then Hydralisks get rid of everything with their attack upgrades. So it's just brilliant. And also it kind of removes the option of microing, you know, like if you can do that. I mean, I'm a Protoss, like aim and just aim move, you know, that's the way we like it.
Focus on just letting the Ultras tank, and yeah, you don't have to worry about it as much.
Focus on everything else, you know, quick spread more.
Concave. Yeah. Okay, well, Drop is going to be able to catch Stephano, slightly out of position over here. All of Stephano's army on the left-hand side of the map. He's trying to rally it forward, but it is a much slower army now with most of the Hydras involved. A couple of drones being pulled off the line to try and fight this, but that's really just going to buy a bit of time. Some drones go down. Dayshi getting a little bit of damage on, but really just being annoying and pulling the army out of position so he can clean up this creep that he so desperately needs to.
I'm so happy we're seeing a game like this. I really wanted to see both players maxing out and then just fighting big armies against big armies even before somebody is significantly ahead. And I feel like this is more so the case here than in the previous game. In the previous game, like I was looking at Stephano's bank, and even though it's starting to get scary here and a little bit in this one, I feel like Dayshi has much more of a chance right now than he did in the previous game. 25 Marauders, 58 Marines, 56, and 3 tanks.
And I love this timing for the push out. 3-3 is on the way. It's about halfway done. So if he can get that finished up sometime in the near future, then he's going to be able to have it right before some of the Ultras.
Only 9 Banelings for Stephano. He's going to try to morph in 9 more. Let's see if Dayshi can get some good splits and maybe target on those Banelings, because if they connect, there's still some very scary Banelings right there.
But man, this creep spread once again for Stephano, it just buys so much time. Dayshi has to just siege up at the edge.
There it is. The 360 arriving. Are you ready?
Okay, here we go. Bailey's coming on the left-hand side, exploding on a ton of those Marines and Marauders. The Hydras coming in on the right, the Hydras and Queens coming in from the south side. The Medevacs are going down. And while Dayshi is finding an escape route on the left-hand side, it seems like Stephano is just starting to clean up this army. And Dayshi's big push, his big opportunity, is going to get crushed, Todd.
Yeah, brilliant fight here once again by Stephano, coming in from multiple sides and getting rid of really the biggest push that Dayshi went for so far in this series with ease. And out the back of this, look at his economy. Look at his gas income. It's over 1,000 right now. That's going to be a lot of big cows that are going to choke on this Terran army quite easily here.
And we already see the Ultras popping out right now. So Stephano is going to be able to take a really, really strong engagement once again, especially if he can get a surround like that again. And Dayshi...
He won't need it. That's the funny thing.
Need it, yeah.
With Ultras plus Hydralisk, he's just going to be straight up A move and go home, Dayshi.
Well, Dayshi is getting out some more Siege Tanks, and Siege Tanks, despite the fact that usually you think of them for their splash damage, they do quite a bit of damage versus armored units, and you can start to whittle away at some of the Ultras. If you have that kind of frontline tank, you have the Marines spreading out and splitting in front of the Ultras, but it's going to be a difficult engagement, Todd. He's going to need to make some miracles happen. He does have that base behind his more forward expansion, so that's a nice kind of economy that's going to be able to fall back on at least.
It's crazy how easy Stephano makes these fights appear, even though he's facing a Terran with more army supply every single time. I feel like with Stephano, the soup definitely lies. Like, well, yeah, I mean, it's 122 to 132. What's about to happen? Just what?
Okay, well, here we go. He's coming in from 2 or 3 different sides right now. Baneling's not getting the Grace connections, but the Ultralist tank. And, well, actually, this is going
that was the worst fight ever.
Yeah, this is going phenomenally for Dayshi.
He stepped off creep.
Oh,
and
boy.
Dayshi is now going to kite a little bit. Where are the medivacs?
All the Ultras are getting taken out right now. And yeah, all the medivacs seem to just have disappeared. They're all been taken out. So all these stims are a bit painful. Stephano going to be able to remax, but his gas bank is completely gone after this. He needs to make sure he does not lose an army like that again.
Yeah, Stephano spent all of his gas here just now. He's getting Vipers, he's completing his upgrades. But that was a huge overextension here. Like a lot of the units on the right-hand side were attacking buildings, and he attacked into a PF plus an already fully set up Terran army. So a little bit strange. Yeah. I feel like if he had gone around and then attacked that base at the north, that would have been a much better option. But then he exposes himself to some sort of counter-attack and base trade, which against the Terran, you always should be very wary of.
Never base trade a Terran player, Todd, but now that means that Dayshi has bought enough time. Ghost Academy that finished up a while ago is finally going to be able to find some use. The ghosts are starting to come out. He can start throwing out those snipes, taking out those ultras much faster. Looks like one of the drops going to get cleaned up pretty quickly. The creep spread is still fantastic for Stephano.
Maybe even some EMPs on the Vipers. That would be great. See if Dayshi could land one of those.
Losing a tank over here is also a bit painful. But yeah, EMP on the Vipers would be very, very nice to see. Still no medevacs with his army. Stemming up once again. Dayshi's army is in the pumpkin orange right now. This is going to be a bit problematic. He really cannot afford to take sustained fights against Stephano's army right now.
Couple abducts on this ghost. Stephano getting cheeky over there.
Oh, man. These siege tanks are whittling away at that Hydra army. It's really good engagements for Dayshi. A good blinding cloud at the very end of that is actually going to be able to take out most of the bio. And there it goes down. Dayshi, can he replenish this army supply? He's sitting down so much, and Stephano is just continuing to power out more Hydras and Ultras.
Yeah, he's just trading, and even if it's not always the most cost-effective trades, he just has so much bank behind this that he can just keep on reproducing a maxed out army and keep on attacking. And I feel like Dayshi is kind of starting to run out of units there. 60 army supply to 124. I feel like the next push for Stephano here might be able to do it. Catches Liberator, I think that was out on the map, and Dayshi is just running out of options here at this point.
I have to commend Dayshi. He's been continuing to try and put forms of harassment on with those Liberators or individual medevacs, despite the fact that it just, I mean, if you look at his army right now, Todd, it just looks like a handful of Marines, a few Vikings, and a couple of siege tanks. It's really not much of an army. It's more like a couple of squadrons banded together trying to say, let's hold out a little bit longer. The SCVs, that counterattack you were talking about, finally happens.
This is the big problem as well of playing the way Dayshi does with the F2 key and not grouping his army, is that how you're supposed to manage Ghost and Vikings separately. It's almost impossible. Even though he made a couple of Vikings to try and deal with the Vipers, but essentially his army, he will always have to be very clumped up together. And that's from when he will try and manually micro every single unit in there. So Stephano really is using the full limitation of Dayshi's style against him right now. And the fact that he doesn't group his units on traditional control groups on like 1, 2, and 3.
Well, we're going to see how good his APM is if he can handle it. A couple of ghosts poaching forward, taking out some of those queens, but Dayshi is holding strong for now. If he can establish this base, maybe he has some more hopes. He's building up that ghost count. He's able to get that back expansion up and defending once again, but
Dayshi just remade a lot of army here just now, actually. He's kind of catching up on supplies. Stephano gonna go for an attack once again here. He's got a lot of gas and minerals.
not able to get a great engagement over there. The Liberators sieged up just in time. A couple of those Ghosts also pushing back the Ultras. And Stephano is looking for another angle. A couple of good Viper pulls, pulling a lot of the siege tanks.
Yeah, some of the expensive units are going to go down straight away, and Stephano is going to go for a kill move here.
Okay, here we go. The Blind Cloud takes a lot of the Marines out of the fight for a little bit. There aren't too many siege tanks doing the splash damage, but oh my god, Stephano on a regular move command just closes the distance, saying, get out of this game, Dayshi. I 11-4'd you once before, and this time is going to be a 2-0 moving forward, taking out the remaining units for Dayshi. And he just doesn't have a leg left to stand on. He needed that expansion, Todd.
Yeah, I love how the Vipers, like mid-fight, were like, we're out of energy, let's go get some more energy. He's just like right next to the fight.
He's building evolution. He's building aggressive evolution chambers, Todd.
He can afford it, man. Just like his prize money is very rich in this game. Prize money earnings of Stephano might just keep on going up all the time. It never ends.
I like how Stephano just keeps pushing forward these small units, though, and just gives Dayshi the small little bit of hope. It's like, let me just build up the hope so I can crush it once again.
I mean, it's hard, right? When you're playing this kind of game, like Dayshi might think that Stephano, you know, maybe broke, doesn't have the minerals and gas to remax or get strong units behind this, but we can see all the numbers over there, and you know, I'm looking at the supply as everybody is, and I'm like, well, Dayshi, your time is numbered here.
Well, Siege Tank gets caught unsieged, something he desperately needed. The Vikings not even able to get really close to those Vipers, and Stephano, he's kind of floundering around a little bit with these Hydras, looking for the right engagement, but Dayshi, once again, really struggling to power out the units he needs. Even just a couple of Siege Tanks would really make a big difference in this fight, but again, he needs to make a massive difference, not even just a big difference. Supply depot wall has been knocked down. The Hydra's walking into the base.
Look at how many upgrades Stephano has this game. He made almost every single upgrade that you can ever get as Zerg player.
Yeah.
This is insane.
Well, the remaining army for Dayshi doesn't look too strong on this right-hand side. It seems like that Planetary Fortress is finally going to get taken out. Blinding Cloud also thrown down on it. Take it out from stopping it from killing any more of these Hydras. And there's going to be the GG. Stephano taking the 2-0. Very well played by Stephano, showing that once again he's still in good form. Doesn't matter.
He's still got it. Good Dragon.
Never actually retired, Todd. Never actually retired. But Dayshi's still in the tournament. Just going to be going down to the decider match, the end of the group.
And looking forward to seeing more from both of these guys. And that was a great match here right there. Let's go and hear from Stephano. Going to be doing an interview here with Smix.
Thank you very much, Todd. Congratulations, Ilyas. Always nice to start off with the win on the main stage here. So first of all, Dayshi had mentioned earlier on Twitter that he really wanted to get revenge on you, I believe because he lost in that show match 4-11 against you. What did you think of his attempt?
Honestly, I wasn't surprised, if I may, because he tried to trash talk a little with me early before the games, and he tried to set me off and everything, but it was just words, and in the end, his strategies or his tactics or anything, there was nothing new. He was just playing the exact same style I was used to, and I beat him 11-4, I beat him 0. There's no difference. There's no difference.
And I was looking at your match history against him, and for the past, I believe, 4 or 5 years, he's only beaten you once. So what do you think it is? Do you just haven't figured out, or what is it?
I haven't won once?
No, he's only won once.
Okay. But, I mean, it's pretty simple. I'm better than him. Let's make it simple. That's it.
I like the blunt honesty, as always, Stephano. And, of course, the last time we saw you, it was WCS Jönköping, where you were able to make it to the round of 16. How have you spent your time since then, and what are your thoughts on how you'll do here?
Since then, I had zero social life. I haven't left my room. I have been ashamed for my whole family looking at me like a nerd. I used to expel myself, go meet people and stuff. Nowadays, I just go in my room in the dark, put the shades down, and just play. So I'm hoping today I will get some get back from all this hard efforts, I want to say, yeah.
It's good to hear. I know that that does mean a lot to you, not being able to party like that.
Sacrifice. It's a huge sacrifice. Trust me.
Well, congratulations again. Looking forward to your match later on. But of course, for now, let's head back to Claire's.
You never know what you're going to get from Stephano here as he comes in with a strong 2-0 over Dayshi. And he says that he has been practicing diligently, Rotterdam, for this tournament.
Yeah, I said it right before this best of 3 started. I was like, look forward to 2 things: his mechanics, his creep spread. Well, look at the minimap here, and we saw the minimap at the end of Blood Boil as well. Stephano is ridiculously on point at the moment. His mechanics are, I think, sharper than they've ever been. And I genuinely believe every word he says there. Like, I was hanging out a lot with Stephano in 2011, 2012 as well, before he won that fantastic tournament in Stockholm back then. I was with him the 10 days before that tournament. I maybe, and I say maybe, saw him play 20 to 25 games in those 7 days. These days, I see him play 25, 30 games a day. He's playing more than he was back then, and he's really eager to get some reward for all his efforts. And it's awesome to see, man. I'm really excited to see how far Elias can go.
Yeah, there was always that moment, Pig, where, as Rotterdam's saying, years ago, when Elias would come out and he'd say, nah, I've not been practicing at all. And some of us thought, but you're the best in the world, or one of the best in the world. How is this possible? But this seems like a very laser-focused Stephano now.
You know, this is what he needs to do to get back to that same level that he was at in the past. In the early days, he was the diligent, young, nerdy kid with the shades down, practicing all day. And yes, it's been a long time since he's been at the peak level that he developed from that. And he's saying, I want it again. And he's working hard for it. So I can't wait to see him go for another really deep run here.
Yeah, could definitely surpass the round of 16 if he doesn't have to meet up with someone like Serral there like he did in Jönköping. Let's check in with the groups, though, and see what has gone on so far here for group stage number 2 for WCS Valencia.
Craziness, Kalaris. Craziness has been going on, because let's take a look at Group B. We saw the final moments of Cloudy against Strange, and then I was already saying Showtime is going up against Denver. He needs to win that one, and then go up against the loser of Strange vs. Cloudy, which was Strange. Well, guess what? Denver has eliminated Showtime. I'm truly shocked by this result. I know that Showtime didn't have the best run at Jönköping, but I had a lot of faith in him to bounce back. And I thought it was like a temporary thing, but things are starting to look very dicey and rough for a German Protoss.
Yeah, what can you attribute it to, Pig? Is there anything that really stands out for you when it comes to Showtime? Because as Rotterdam has mentioned before, he's been one of the best Protoss in the Western world for a long time.
For a while.
Yeah.
And consistency has always been the name of the game for Showtime, but I think every competitor finds that point where things just aren't working for them. I think he needs to find a new approach, maybe a new mental game to how he practices. Because clearly, this is a few tournaments in a row with Showtime going out earlier, and his performances are getting a little bit lower each tournament. You know, group stages in Jönköping was a huge upset. Here, a group stage earlier going out, this is something where I think Tobias, he's going to be going back to the drawing board and he's going to say, I need to change things up in a very drastic way.
Maybe good news for Showtime is that we do get a new map pool soon, because I feel like the slump has started with this map pool. For some reason, this map pool is just not working out at all for Showtime. And of course, some people will say, well, every Protoss is struggling. Yes and no. I mean, there are still a couple of Protoss players that are shining. I mean, Neep is our back-to-back champ, for instance. But the next match is still going to be a lot of fun for us. It's going to be Strange, who looked really good, by the way, against Cloudy. It's a shame I couldn't really show more, but the first game he played against Cloudy, great style in PvP. Loved the use of Adept, Sentry, Stalk as well, tacking up to disrupt us eventually. It was awesome play. Then game 2 and game 3, he got all in by the Chinese Protoss. There's no other way to put it. So that's going to be a very fun PvZ. But yeah, shocking stuff.
Yeah, very, very shocking stuff here in group number 2 already. Well, thank you very much, guys, as we're going to go to a short break now. When we are back, more from WCS Valencia in just a few moments' time.